sitting to my left on the camera, I think it's to the right, I have known for a very long time. She has been on multiple bargaining committees with us. She is somebody who absolutely makes her opinion known, and we really appreciate that. I know some people can't appreciate that, but she always does it in a very respectful manner, and she does it in a way where she's a great advocate for her fellow coworkers. And so it's great to have Lori on the show. We also have Ryan, correct?
Yes.
On the show, and she is a victim witness advocate. And if I believe, if I'm correct, this is Victim Advocacy Week, correct?
Next week is.
Oh, it's next
Yeah,
week is.
next
Okay.
week.
So we thought it would be great to tie in with that week coming up, a very important job, because you're a Teamster, correct?
Correct, I am.
And we love to brag about all the different cool jobs our members do, not just our members at 1932, but Teamsters all over the country. And we're very proud to have you here because, you know, in today's day, a lot of people, it's very easy for people to kind of get worked up and to say, oh, cut my taxes and get rid of this and get rid of services and do this and do that. And they just don't realize how many very important services are part of the system, part of the process. And some of them don't ever get talked about, like the job that you do on a regular basis. And so why don't the two of you, let's do Lori first and then Ryan second, talk about your job very briefly, and then I'll go through a number of questions to kind of open up the dialogue on how important your roles are. Lori?
Okay. I've started out in the clerical pool. I've done the jobs, what we do. We prepare subpoenas, we do filing.
Hopefully it's not a subpoena for me.
No, none for you. And we basically support the attorneys, kind of what they need, if they need transcription done. Through the years throughout the office, I've done general criminal. I worked with the lifer unit, keeping people in prison once we get them there. And then I worked with the wiretap. So when we get ready to investigate people and we set up the process to tap their phone and do that. Currently, I am working as the secretary for the Public Integrity Unit, which we investigate elected officials and anybody that is in violation of the Brown Act. So we keep tabs. It can be school districts, it can be any number of people that don't follow the procedure. So then we look into them and decide.
See, when people complain about their tax dollars, look at it, see, we got people that are trying to hold everybody accountable internally.
Exactly.
That's what Teamsters do. Ryan?
Thank you for having me. So I'm a victim witness advocate at the district attorney's office, and I am stationed out of the central office, which is on Arrowhead and 3rd. And we also work Lane and I. So I have my canine court facility dog with me, Canine Lane. He's our yellow lab. And so we do crimes against children cases and adult sexual assaults. So we're primarily out of the central office and the Children's Assessment Center, which is also in the city of San Bernardino. So we bounce around from those two offices. And so our primary job is to walk victims of those two different crime types through the criminal justice system. So when a case has been filed, so law enforcement's been contacted, they forward that case over to our office. A deputy district attorney reviews it and makes a determination if there's enough information to file charges. And if there is, and we file charges against crimes against children or adult sexual assault, we get involved. We reach out to that victim or that family member, and then we walk them through the criminal justice process, which can be very hard, sad. It can be long, it can be tedious, it can be confusing. And so part of our job as victim witness advocates is to walk them through that entire process from beginning to end, which can take many years sometimes.
It sounds very challenging job. And this goes to something I said earlier, where sometimes we kind of take these things for granted in a system. This is an incredibly important role. This is an incredibly important thing to do when, and obviously it doesn't get talked about because these are situations, horrible crimes and in very difficult situations that are happening. And individuals like you are coming to the aid of these victims to make sure that they have all the things that they need and resources they need to get through the trial, get through the investigation, and to get through life. Because this, they didn't ask, obviously they didn't ask to be in the situation that they are. And it's just important for us socially to help people through that space.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it is incredibly challenging, but it's got to be incredibly rewarding for you too, to be able to make sure you've kind of hand in hand walk someone down that path.
It is difficult, it is rewarding, and it's one of those things where many people don't know about us. Those that do, unfortunately, probably have had something happen to them or their family member, which is unfortunately the case. But Lane is a great addition to bringing comfort and support to those kids, because every step of the way is very difficult, especially the idea of testifying.
So who's Lane here? I think Lane's hanging around here, right?
Lane is behind you. I think you can just see his yellow coat. So he is our 3-year-old yellow lab. He just came to us about a year ago. And so he not only can go to court with children, but he also works at the Child Assessment Center. So what happens is when children have to testify or they have to be interviewed by law enforcement, they oftentimes will go to the Child Assessment Center, which is a collaborative office with Loma Linda medical providers, the Department of Public Health, Child Protective Services, the District Attorney's Office. And so the kids get interviewed by a forensic interviewer that's able to go through everything that's happened to them. And Lane is able to go into that room with the interviewer and bring comfort to the children. And then those children will also go and have medical exams and sexual assault exams to gather evidence for the purposes of prosecution or for some type of child abuse case with Child Protective Services. So Lane is also able to go into that medical exam and bring comfort to the kids when they're having those exams done. So he's a great addition.
He's
to the
very
office.
important.
He is. He is.
Does he get paid?
In love and kisses. Yeah. And he
Wait a minute
capitalizes on
here.
that.
I think we need a union contract for the dog.
Exactly.
He'd probably agree, and be paid in treats would be beneficial.
Very true. He wants to choose his treats, correct?
Yes, yes.
So next week is Victim Advocacy Week, correct?
It's National Victims' Rights Week.
National Victims' Rights Week. Okay.
Yeah, so it's an event that is happening nationally. Our office has 2 events, one in Rancho Cucamonga and one in Victorville next week. And what it is it celebrates and highlights victims and their families and what they've had to go through victimization. So we have guest speakers who are present. So we have a sexual assault survivor who will go over her experience, strength, and hope and what has happened to her and how she's come out on the other side. We also have some family members, they lost their loved one due to a DUI. And then in Victorville, we'll also have some loved ones that will talk about how they've lost their loved one to, I believe it is a road rage incident, and she was killed as a result of that. And so it's very empowering. We have local resources, nonprofits that we partner with. They're also there that work with our crime victims, and we're able to come together and celebrate their life.
Do you know the history of how this started, how the week started, how it kind of came to that space?
I don't know too much in grave detail about the history. I know it's been around for quite a long time, and what happens is each year they come up with different themes. And so like this year, our theme is what the community can do when it comes to serving crime victims. So they ask questions like, how can you help a crime victim? Are you prepared if somebody comes and confides in you about a victimization? How would you respond? Are you armed with resources? And then one of the other questions is your organization crime victim-centered and trauma-informed, which that's part of the goal of the Victims' Rights Week is to bring awareness. And so, like you said, many people don't know about victim services, don't know about the district attorney's office and all of the other resources that are available. So helping bring awareness to that.
Yeah, and it sounds like that theme is trying to get the community take a more broader approach at helping situations when they happen.
Right.
And shifting the responsibility, to be honest with you, where it belongs, which is kind of on all of us. Right. That sounds like a lot of work.
We have an amazing team of victim witness advocates, other clerical staff that help put this event together. And we're able to have those survivors that are courageous enough to come forward and speak, which is amazing. And we love being able to celebrate our survivors, because unfortunately, oftentimes, we're going through the criminal justice system. It's not something to celebrate. So this is something that we want to take the time to celebrate and bring awareness to them.
Yeah, or, obviously that they've traveled that entire journey, got to the conclusion, at least, of that process. It
Right.
doesn't necessarily mean it's concluded within their life. They got to deal with it their
Right.
entire life. And I'm assuming you've built long-term relationships with people simply because, that you're going to bond with somebody as you're walking them through that journey.
You are. Naturally, it's impossible not to, because you've seen somebody. Ideally, you see somebody and they're so very different at the end of the process, opposed to I may see a victim who was sexually assaulted 2 weeks ago, and then I might see her 4 years down the line when the case concludes. And you're able to see them come back from something horrendous and be able to get the help, get the therapy, get the counseling, go to the support groups, be able to stand up against their abuser in trial and see justice. That's not always the case, but that's what we see sometimes. And so, yeah, we're able to see those victims grow and turn a new leaf.
Yeah, and helping victims deal with, a lot of times a victim is attacked themselves during the trial, right? That's
are.
flipped. It's flipping in making the victim the problem, which is obviously BS, but it's what they have to deal with.
It's their job. The defense attorney's job is to make our victim look bad, and that's part of our job as victim advocates, is to explain that
And
so they're
prepare
not
them for it,
blindsided.
inoculate them.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Lori, what do you got to add to all this?
Well, I've been.
This
with
is
the-
incredible.
Yeah, it is. I've been with the office for a really long time, and I've seen the jobs of the advocates evolve over the years. At the very beginning, they would just be making calls, telling witnesses, be here at this time. Then it got more into the going to court with them, doing more of the counseling, referring for the counseling. But I got to say, the dogs have been like the greatest addition, because you can just see the kids get into a different okay space. Because, like you say, this is just something so traumatic, and then you got to go to court and get beat up again. As a kid, you don't understand that, but you understand that, like, unconditional love from a pet that just kind of gives you a little bit of relief. One of the other things that I've seen that has been pretty neat is some of the other community things that the dogs have been able to take part in. When we had the shooting and hostage situation at North Park Elementary, they took the dogs out there to help the kids. I believe when they had the shooting in Vegas, they had some of the dogs go up there and help some of the people. So it's not just, here and going to court. There's other community-based things that they take them out to, and can really help people. So it's just not the kids. Some of the adults really appreciate it too.
Would it be too much to ask to have a booth at maybe some of our functions in the future?
No, they do have a couple. On the next event we have, I'll have them come out, and they go to the fairs and the different little
Yeah.
things too, and
Do
set
a
up
lot
a
of
booth. And
resource.
if anybody needs help or has questions, because they do have the referral stuff for counseling or stuff like that.
I'm really impressed with this dog because I got a dog at the house. I got a couple dogs at the house, and I mean, there's no way I can get them to just lay down and hang out. Obviously, well trained. Is the
is.
person who trained him a Teamster too? You're not sure.
They are not, and I can't. Lane, I'm a little biased because that's the dog that I work with on a daily basis. But we also have another dog. His name is Schroeder. He's our black lab out of the central office, and then we have Kirby, who is our golden doodle. He's out of our Victorville office. So we have 2 other dogs on our team, and hopefully have a new one soon. And like Lori said, we do crisis response as well. They also most recently went out to the Texas Uvalde shooting. 2 of our dogs that have since retired, and 2 advocates were able to respond to that. We have police-based advocates as well. So
I got a question on the
departments.
retirement of a dog. Do they have retiree medical? You're not sure? I think we should make sure these
We should
dogs
make
have.
sure they're
I want to make a
Teamsters.
motion that they have retiree medical.
I'll second that.
I think that's a good idea.
Make sure that they get fed well, and once they so what age do they retire them out at?
Typically around 9 is when they
Okay.
retire. And so Lane is 3. He came to us when he was a little over 2. So they get trained in New Mexico. From Assistant Dogs of the West is where we've gotten all of our dogs. And so they come fully trained. They're service dogs, they're facility dogs. So they do all of the hard work, and then they come to us. So they train them from 2 months to about 2 years. And then I have to talk closer. Got it.
Gotcha.
Okay. So they come from 2 months to 2 years, and then they get placed with us. So they do all of the hard part. Then they come out and they train us, the handlers, on what to do. but they typically work till about 9 years. It kind of depends on their energy and their level of how they're doing. So depending on if they're slowing down, if you notice that they're kind of shying away from wanting to be around people, we notice that they're done. And so they retire out a little bit earlier.
So, is introducing the dogs into the space, is it new, or is this something that's been going on for decades? Because
So for
I
San
feel like
Bernardino-
it's something new.
For San Bernardino, so we've had 2 dogs since retire last year. So we've had the program's been going on since 2015. Yeah.
All right. How do you spread awareness? What are the other things that we can do to spread awareness?
We do a lot of resource fairs. We do a lot of events where we go out and we speak to the community so they're aware of our services. I don't know off the top of my head.
Any advertising? I know some of the departments do some billboards, do some advertising.
I know some of our units
Yeah.
have billboard. Not victim services does.
Yeah, I haven't seen any billboards or anything like that. Usually it's more like report fraud abuse kind of billboards, but nothing on the advocacy of like the dogs or the services.
No.
That might be something to bring up to Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, word of mouth would be. I mean, everybody
We had to
knows
tell Jason.
somebody.
We'll send him an email.
Yeah.
Hey, Jason, how about a couple billboards?
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, everybody knows somebody that was victimized, right? And so it's a topic that isn't discussed. It's not comfortable. However, if you're sitting on information, you're hearing this podcast, whether you be in San Bernardino County or not, there's equivalents to us as victim services units. They're all over. So if you're sitting on the information, though, and you don't share it, it's no good. So just simply, I think, discussing about it, mentioning it, bringing it up would help. It definitely wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, and getting into spaces like this, again, that's why some of our staff had suggested, hey, this is what's coming up. Let's get them on the show, and we want to get other very important jobs and roles like this within the membership that we represent to help continue to spread awareness too. Lori, anything you want to add on this? Like anything else?
Actually, I just like,
You keep
I've
looking
been
at the
wanting-
dog.
I know, yeah. I'm a doggy person, so
Right.
it's just he's such a little.
You want
full
to
of
get
love.
down and
I was
lay
gonna
on
say
the floor.
usually
and
we're
like-
laying on the
Right.
floor at work and playing with the dogs or throwing the hedgehog down the
Stuffies,
hallway
yeah.
or whatever toy they like to play with. But yeah, the addition with the dogs, and it's just been so nice because the work that I do at the office is the clerical end. Well, a lot of different departments have clerical, and it's basically kind of the same work, but the advocates just really stick out to me because of who they reach.
And this is your doing, right? In other
Yeah.
words, you had reached out to
Yeah,
Carlos.
I told, and I was
and
thinking
was-
about it. 'Cause
yeah.
Even since negotiations, when we were doing the Thank a Teamster campaign, it was kind of like, I need to find, some niche in my office because I have SEBA people, I have attorney staff. None of them are Teamsters. It's just clerical or DA supervisors. DA supervisors don't get too involved. Clerical staff, they're gung-ho with, if it's good for them kind of a thing. But I just wanted to promote something from my office, and it just came about, and that's all I kept thinking. And I've seen Ryan in the office, and she's always doing stuff with the dog, and she's got that upbeat personality. Ryan has also started our little pilot digital program, which was with everything going to computers. Our office opened up a thing for victim advocates so they can apply over a computer as opposed to coming into the office or contacting somebody at a police department or assessment center. We also have advocates that are at some of the hospitals that when something happens, they can get help right away while their loved one is there. So that's why I was kind of like, when it came up with Victim Rights Week, it just hit right in sync. So I was kind of like, got Carlos and told him, hey, I finally got somebody from my place that I can, put up there. And it's been great because talking with Ryan, it's just kind of a neat program.
I
It was
told you
something-
Lori wasn't shy.
I kind of always wanted to do it, and in my years of going to school and doing everything, but I just had a problem with I'm just dealing with the kid things and stuff in my own
Right.
history. It was just something I knew would not work out well for me in the long run, so I didn't follow that path. But it's kind of nice to be there to support him.
Hey, JD, how much time do we have left? 5 minutes. We got 5 minutes. All right, cool. It's KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. You're live. Just so you know, we got to do that because we're live. Technically, there's like a FCC requirement to make
Okay.
sure that you're, at least that I am, or somebody is announcing that, we got, this is going over the radio. So, but with that, as we're going to wrap up and close up this end of the show, first, I really, really, really appreciate you guys coming on. Obviously, Lori and I have known each other for a lot of years, but really appreciate you coming on and sharing the role that you do, the job that you do, bringing this cool dog
Yes.
that I wish it could hang around mine and teach it some real good manners, because I got this little bulldog that just, not really little, but it's actually little for an English bulldog, and it just, I got it. Somebody convinced me of it, and I hope you're listening to this right now, that convinced me to get it and said that they're really calm and they're really lazy, and for whatever reason, mine is not lazy nor calm and jumps around and is like all over the place all the time. So I am very envious of this calm situation sitting behind me. Yes, we will. Let's get some pictures as soon as we're done here, because then what we could do is share the podcast. Obviously, after this is done, the live stream is done, and we get into where others are looking at it. That way we can actually get a picture of all of us in here with the cool looking dog. Is there anything you want to close on with the last 4 minutes of the show?
I do want to mention we work very closely with a California-based program. It's called California Victim Compensation. And so it's a program that helps crime victims with all kinds of amazing things. Some of them is any out-of-pocket expenses for funeral, burial, relocation services, if applicable. So if you have a domestic violence victim who's having to relocate due to her physical safety, a sexual assault victim that was assaulted in her bedroom and now needs to relocate out of that apartment or something like that, any out-of-pocket expenses for medical bills, mental health services. So it does a lot of amazing things for our crime victims. So we help facilitate and help them complete that application, make sure they have all the proper documentation. So I do want to get it out there because, again, everybody knows a victim, and this program does a lot of amazing things. Find an advocate, whether it be in our San Bernardino, Victorville, Rancho Cucamonga office, or any county that you're in, and this program is able to help you out.
Thank you. How about you, Lori? Is there anything you want to close on before I wrap this show up in a pretty little bow?
In a pretty little bow. No, just thank you for letting us come out here and give our spiel to spread a little positiveness at the DA's office. Sometimes we get a little bit negativity because we're putting their loved ones in jail, but we also do, a lot of people just don't look at the good things. Sometimes they look at the negative aspect of it, so it is nice to publicize some of the good things that the advocates do all year round.
Absolutely. That's what this show is all about, is let's make sure that the general public just sometimes doesn't understand the resources that are around that are necessary to be there for the time of need that it happens.
Yeah.
And, it's this push and pull that happens on a regular basis where it's, oh, we need to cut this and need to cut that. And, these are things that shouldn't be cut. These are definitely things that should be obviously expanded as time goes on. And so, JD, what do I got? Do I got 2 minutes, a minute and a half, 2 minutes on the nose? Yeah, I got this little clock in my head. I'm pretty good at trying to, keep it rolling. But thank you again for coming out. Lori, thank you for all the work you've done over the years as a shop steward, as being on the bargaining committee. It is a thankless job. What usually happens is we work really hard, try to get a contract done, get all this good stuff done, and people say, "Oh, thanks for all the good stuff." And then I want to argue about what I don't have, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what you get to run into after the ratification of your contract. What ends up happening is you don't pay attention to 70, 80, 90% of the people end up approving it, which means, it's a small percentage of people that you're dealing with on the negative side.
Yeah.
The reality is the work that you do is extremely valuable. As an organization, as the elected leader of the organization, I absolutely appreciate that and really appreciate you pushing this to the forefront so that we can connect it with something that's going on, in the public, with next week being what it is.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Thank you. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
What's got me confused is this is Lori Ryan, and then your name is Ryan. And so I got to
Throw
careful
it
I don't
in.
mess this up, right? With that, I'll close the show out here in the last, I think, 60 seconds, right, JD? Just about ready to wrap up. We're building worker power in the IE. You see our billboards, you see our buses, you see what we're doing with the Teamster Advantage program with a lot of small businesses. You see, Think a Teamster, making sure that everybody understands there's what Teamsters do. The Teamsters isn't just the Union Hall, on the corner of 4th and Sierra Way. The Teamsters are what are sitting in this room right now, workers that do these very important things. And we want to make sure that workers in IE continue to build worker power. And how do you build worker power? You talk with your family. You talk with your friends. You talk with your neighbors. I'm a longtime organizer, first-time radio host. Signing off.
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda, sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932, protecting the future of working families. Teamsters1932.org.
Radio. I'm Brian Shook. The Democratic-controlled Senate is quickly dismissing the impeachment charges against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. The Senate voted to rule both impeachment articles unconstitutional because they did not rise to the level of high crimes and misdemeanors. The move by the upper chamber caps a months-long effort by Republicans to oust Mayorkas over his handling of the U.S.-Mexico border. House Speaker Mike Johnson is unveiling his plan to provide military assistance to critical U.S. allies. Johnson released 4 bills to provide aid to Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan today. The Speaker plans to vote on the legislation Saturday evening. Experts are warning Congress that a surge of Chinese illegal immigrants coming across the southern border pose a threat to national security. Former Trump administration advisor General Robert Spalding called it terrifying.
Every Chinese citizen that comes into the country is a Chinese agent of the Chinese Communist Party.
Newly released customs data shows that in the first 6 months of the fiscal year, the Border Patrol has caught just over 24,000 illegal immigrants from China. That's already exceeded last year's total. Former President Trump is apparently